daughters and a niece. But the current conflict has also lost an unbelievably large number of relatives to war in Gaza. In 2009, tragedy struck Dr. Izzeldin Abuleish when an Israeli tank shelled his home, claiming the lives of his 3 daughters and a niece. But the current conflict has also taken the lives of many more of his relatives, and Dr. Abuleish, a trailblazing figure, made history as the first Palestinian doctor to serve in an Israeli hospital. He's a passionate advocate for peace and reconciliation between Israelis and Palestinians, a mission that he encapsulated in his memoir entitled I Shall Not Hate, A Gaza Doctor's Journey on the Path to Peace and Human Dignity. And I feel honored, actually, to say that Dr. Izzeldin Abuleish joins me now. Doctor, thank you for coming here today.
Thank you so much.
I greatly appreciate it. I know we were just talking before we came on air. You were raised
before we even
in
begin,
the Jabali.
right? One thing I've really recently started to respect Piers Morgan for transforming into a fair, understanding, a real journalist in this era, in this decade almost. I mean, it really happened when this war started, because it's very simple for Western media to take a certain side and ignore all the facts that is literally out there, but they'd rather take one side and ignore the other side and act like the ones that are on the other side don't even exist, and they just find ways to justify everything. So one thing I like about Piers Morgan recently he's been doing is giving voice to every party, every side. So if you're a Palestinian, you have a platform to speak and express the way you feel and expect the things that you've gone through. And if you're Israeli, you also have a platform there. And he's really operating like a true journalist. And the one thing that's like a respect that you should have for anyone that's it doesn't matter who it is, if he's doing what he's supposed to do. And this is one of the main things I really love about Piers Morgan so far. And I'm glad he's doing this too. It's not all about you being right or wrong. It's about hearing from both sides, like us people that are not really directly affected by these things can actually sit down, hear them out, assess what they're saying, and be able to form a valid opinion or not be biased towards or against anyone.
Refugee camp.
I was born, raised, and lived in my home still in Jabalia camp.
And a lot of your relatives have already been killed since October the 7th there.
Yes.
In these airstrikes. But also you've told me that right now there are ongoing attacks.
Yes, they are there in Jabalia camp, living, staying there. They are alive now. I don't know after we finish if they will be alive to talk to them or not. But it's important, because I want to tell you, let us talk, a man to a man. Do you have children?
Yes.
So, a father to a father, a human to human. You know, once the apple fell down, we discovered the gravity. So let us today discover the humanity and the truth. Because the truth is important based on evidence. Jesus said, seek the truth, and the truth sets you free. And I hope all to be free today from this meeting, and to be human, and to behave as a human, and to advocate only and just only for humanity.
How many members of your family have been lost since October the 7th?
About 25. October 7th, when I watched it, I found that my sister's house,
you can just hear the pain in
where
this
my
man.
brothers
You
and
can hear the
nieces
pain
were
in
there.
his voice. Like when he speaks, you can hear the pain. You can hear how painful it sounds or it is for him to go through this. Like it's very, 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 very painful. I can just, I'm not there, but I can feel every energy that's in that room right now, because I can feel the pain that he's going through. Like it's.
And this is all the members of the family who were killed.
These are all your members of your family?
Of the family on the 7th. They became piles, their bodies. This is my niece who was killed. This is her body. This my niece who was engineering, graduated. She was found under the rubble. This is my niece. She is a medical doctor. She was supposed to start her specialty. This, my cousin, this is my nephew, who is a physiotherapist, and he was killed. This is my niece's daughter. And that's what we want to see. These people, they have names, they have faces, and that's what is needed. This is my daughter, Bisan, who was killed 16th of January 2009, who said, to meet violence with violence doesn't solve any problem. There is an alternative way. It's not by action and reaction. It's by being a human and behaving and thinking of others. This is Mayar and Aya. Even my niece, she named her daughter Aya after my daughter. Aya was killed also. These daughters, I raised them to be human, to be advocate for human. I sent them to peace camps. And she said to
With
me,
Israelis.
with the Israelis, and she said to me, I found how similar are we. We are similar, but we need to be equal. We need to be free. We need to appreciate the dignity, the freedom of all. Does the life, I want to ask you, does the life of the Palestinians matter as equal to the Israelis or not?
Yes.
Does the freedom of the Palestinians matter as the freedom of the Israelis?
Yes.
And that's what always I advocated for. I worked at the hospital when I deliver a baby, the newborn baby. The cry of the newborn baby is a cry of hope, cry of life. But now we are crying blood. Our tears are blood. The children that I helped to deliver, they are free. All of them are free. Why not to run a normal, free life? Medicine for me is a human equalizer, stabilizer, socializer, and harmonizer. So we need to live free, with dignity, with
And one
equality
more
in this
thing,
world. And that's the
what's
peace.
going on right now? It's sad to say. It's very sad that I have to say this, right? But what's going on right now? It's gonna make this not this war specifically, but it's gonna continue the war between Israel and Palestine for another 10 to 15 years from now, and it's gonna make Hamas even stronger, which is what nobody wants. We don't want that. But when you when you when you are targeting civilians, killing somebody's dad, somebody's father, somebody's mother, like you killing somebody's son and daughters and stuff, those people are going to be radical. They're going to go against you. They're going to hate everything that you stand for. They will never love you or have any remorse for anything you go through in life. And their goal in life is to destroy you as a form of payback, I would say, or as a form of like retaliation because you killed their family members. And it doesn't matter how. And it's an easy marketing started on strategy for Palestinians. I mean, sorry, for Hamas. It's an easy targeting strategy for Hamas because how easily can you convince a young man? First of all, the Gaza Strip is full of young kids, anyways. But how can you easily convince a young man who's growing up in an environment where he lost his dad, his mom, family members, brothers and sisters to a country that's literally opposing you? And it's very easy for them to recruit more and more, and it's easier for them to do that. And Israel can, I mean, they can bomb everyone, but they will never. I don't think they were able to bomb unless they just the Western media or we just look at them and allow them to destroy Hamas. I mean, not to destroy Hamas, one, and two, to destroy the Palestinian citizens, because Hamas is not Palestinian citizen. Most Palestinians do not even agree with some of the things they do, but at the same time, they stand up as a freedom fighter, and regardless of how we view them, we could view them as terrorist group or whatnot. But to them, These people are fighting for our freedom. When U.S. Army go to fight somewhere, as an American, we here supporting our military group. We want them to succeed. We don't look at them as terrorists, but anyone else that we going to fight, any country that we end up going to, they're gonna look at us as the enemy, as they should. That's just a common logic. Like that's just basic to understand. That's just how Hamas is to some Palestinians. They're not terrorists to them. Just like how U.S. Army or military is not terrorists to us. We look at them as a freedom fighter, quote unquote, and they look at Hamas as freedom fighter. So in order for us to have any success, we have to have a balance in a way to address problems and not just label people and dismiss everything they stand for.
And even October 7th proved, because we tried it many times, military means and wars, it's futile. It's a waste of time and lives. It increases bloodshed, animosity, hatred, violence, pain, suffering, and most important is the extremism. The only way is to sit, and I am sure this can't be solved with the military means. It's only by political and diplomatic means, acknowledging the rights of all to live side by side as equal. And that's the only way, without leaving anyone behind.
You talked earlier about growing up in the Jabali refugee camp, which was struck, of course, by airstrikes, devastatingly killing members of your family, as you've just recounted so powerfully. What was life like when you were there as a young person?
My life as a Palestinian refugee, because I was born as a refugee, my parents were refugees. My grandparents were refugees. They were expelled from their homeland to be thrown as a refugee. And being a refugee, what do we mean by a refugee? You are deprived of your dignity. You become moving in this world naked, exposed. But thanks to our parents, that they lost everything, but they realized the hope is in their children. We have to be educated, and Palestinian people, they invest everything in the education of their children. They cut from their food that now in Gaza Strip, with the collective punishment, they are deprived of bread, of water, of health, of gas, of a fuel. How the world can watch it and not to take action? How can you tolerate to see your son hungry? He needs milk. What are you going to do? When I see a bleeding patient, I rush to stop the bleeding. When I see a woman who is in labor pain, I rush to help her without discrimination or to say to her, why are you screaming? Why are you crying? And that's what we need. So as a child, I suffered of rheumatic fever, admitted to the hospital. I wanted to be a medical doctor in order to rescue my family from the misery of life. And that's we as Palestinians, we don't believe in the impossible thing. We have hope in our children. I succeeded to get a scholarship to study medicine in Cairo. Everything in life I planned, I succeeded. From Jabalia camp to Cairo University, to London, to Italy, to Belgium, to Harvard University. Even when I went to Harvard, the only thing which was standing with me was Palestine flag to be raised. I am Palestinian and the proud Palestinian. And that's what I want the world to hear from the Palestinians. Palestinians are people like others, with hopes, with the plans, with the dreams. They love life and they care about others. And that's what we want the world to hear from us, not to hear about us. The only impossible thing I believe in is to return my daughters back to life.
It was 2008, I think, when you lost your wife to cancer. And that was a crushing blow, and you were left to bring up your 8 children on your own.
Yes.
And then within a year, devastatingly, an Israeli tank during that war at the time that was raging at the time with Gaza an Israeli tank fired on your house, and your 3 daughters and a niece were all killed in the most brutal manner imaginable, blown to pieces by this tank, and you were there.
I was with them.
And there was an extraordinary moment, and I have asked if you're comfortable with us to play a little bit of this, because I remember it at the time. I was at CNN, was just about to join CNN, and I remember hearing this, and it was just so moving, because you had a friend at an Israeli television station, and you had regular dialogue with him during this war, and you would call in and you'd update and so on. And you came on and you spoke to him just after you'd lost your daughters to this strike. And this is a little bit of that conversation.
יש לו 8 ילדים שבמשך כל המלחמה הוא הגן עליהם בבית שלו, בבית לאהיה. אולי הדבר היחיד שאנחנו יכולים לעשות זה לפנות למי שיכול כבר, אולי בצה"ל, בבית שלו. אבו לש, תגיד לי את הבית שלך, איפה אתה נמצא? אולי ישלחו אמבולנסים אליך, אולי יאפשרו להגיע אליך באמבולנסים.
It's one of the most agonizing things I've ever watched on television. And eventually your friend, that presenter, he had to go because he wanted to keep talking to you. And he was so distressed himself, he wanted to go off and do it privately, which he did. But an agonizing moment for you, for him, for everybody involved in that. And as a consequence of that, many people in your position may have chosen a path of wanting revenge or retribution in some way to meet violence with violence, but you went completely a different way. And you ended up taking your family and you ended up in Canada. How did you find the strength to not go down the path of wanting revenge?
It's important what you mentioned, because my wife passed away 16th of September 2008,
Yeah.
4:45 p.m. And my daughters were killed 16th of January 2009, 4:45 p.m., 4 months exactly. 2 traumas, tragedies. And what you heard, what I said, Ya Allah, Ya Rab, you know the meaning. Oh God, oh Lord.
Yes.
At that moment, as what I see now, I lost faith in humanity, because the world was watching what is happening. As we are watching what is happening now, Palestinians are just numbers. They are not numbers. They are human.
Yes.
And that's what I would like each of us who are watching to zoom in, to put himself in the position of the Palestinians.
You know what you did so powerfully, Doctor, was when you showed pictures of your family.
So, but it's important.
You put a name to the face.
Yes.
And you made people at home watching this
But why? What
these are
helped
real
me?
people.
But it's important. What helped me? I am a person of faith. This is important. My life experience, my profession as a medical doctor. If a patient dies, I don't stay there. I have to move to the next patient to save. But I need to learn why the first patient died and what are the causes, the triggers of the death of that patient.
This is hard to watch. It's very hard to watch. Like, to see someone go into this manner. And the crazy thing about this whole thing, I mean, he's one of many. He's one of many Palestinians that have lost so many family members, that have lost so many things throughout, not even this war alone, but previous wars, throughout this whole time. It's sad. And what's more frustrating than anything is watching media demonize these people. Like, what? Like, I can't even comprehend that. It's like they really would choose to demonize a whole country where people are literally dying every single minute or second that we breathe or whatnot. Everything, like every single day, someone in Palestine will die that day. It's almost guaranteed at this point. But like I said, it's like he said, he has lost like faith in humanity, which is understandable. I mean, I'm nowhere remotely close to what's going on to them now, but I'm almost feeling the same way. Like, how can we see this happening? No one even bothers to do anything, and all they do is playing side game. I'm right, you wrong, but it doesn't matter at this point. It's like people really dying. Or can we come together and come to a middle ground where people we can save lives, save kids and family members instead of destroying? Because instead of killing everyone indiscriminately, it's just bombing everyone, dropping bombs everywhere. And then once you say that, you get labeled as anti-Semite or anti-Semitic rhetoric, all that kind of stuff. And no one, obviously, like I said, we don't want no Jewish person to go through anything like this. We don't want to see nobody dying just because they're Jewish or dying because they're Muslim. And there's so many things that as human we just have to understand. It's all about humanity. Like we choosing to destroy each other over what? Sad, but I'm gonna keep continuing to watch.
Feel it from you, because you're so right. Palestinian lives are as important as Israeli lives. And here's the question I want to ask you: how do we? Your entire life has been ravaged by this conflict, from when you were a baby to now, and you've lost so many members of your family, and you're losing them as we speak, probably horrifically, in this camp that you grew up in. It's like this vicious circle that never ends. How do we end it?
Yeah, we need to understand the root causes of the problem. The Palestinian people and the Israeli people. And I described it. We are like conjoined twins. We have no other way than to live together. And when we speak about peace, and the people, they talk about peace, peace is not just a word. Peace is a way of life that we believe in it. And there are,
And
between
peace is
whom we
also
want peace.
compromise.
Peace is a
Being able to
relationship between me
compromise
and you.
too. That's peace. We cannot. I don't even know how to say this the right way, but in order to be in peace or have peace, we both have to be willing to sacrifice certain things that we don't want to sacrifice, but do it in order for us to live longer and have peace among us, right? But I don't. It's kind of hard to really talk about this topic, but what's easy is that people's really dying, and we don't want to see that, right? We can sit here and say Israelis are, because obviously the occupation is wrong. Everyone knows that. Like that's like everyone knows that, and whoever claims that this is not wrong, then I don't know what you thinking, but it's just we gotta end the like just end everything that's destroying us. You know, we have to end it. End the occupation, end the blockade, because you're not helping. Come up with come up with the best solution that doesn't feel like someone that you infringing or you imposing your right on other people. It's like it's because Palestine, like I said, this is not going to help the cause for Israelis. I'm sorry, the government is not helping, because I promise you, this will make it even worse than it was in the past. You will create another terrorist organization that's gonna come. It's not that I don't even want to use the word terrorist at this point anymore. It's just that the members of families you're killing right now, unfortunately, they will have some family members that are growing up and seeing this happening. They will have so much resentment towards Israel. Like there's no other option for them to fight Israel. So it's like we could call them terrorists, but the fact is that we Israelis are playing a role or parts in creating their own demise at this point.
Even peace is a relationship between us and the earth, that we damage the earth with the climate change. And there are certain requirements for peace. We need justice, equality, freedom.
Human
And then-
rights, right? Equal
yes,
rights.
equal rights. Then peace will be a consequence of that.
Can peace ever be achieved now if Hamas are in charge in Gaza?
As I mentioned to you, it's about Palestinian people and then Israeli people. It's not about Palestinians and the settlers, Smotrich or Ben Gvir or those settlers. We want peace between the people, and that's what is needed. Palestinians and Israelis, we are created.
But that has to, in the end, that has to be a political solution.
It's the only way.
But do you think on either side there is the leadership there that can possibly forge peace?
Believe me, even if there is no, we need the international community to bring them. And we have the platform. We have the international resolutions. We have the human rights resolutions. Because ending the conflict, all of the world will benefit from it. You see the consequences of what is happening now. The consequences are spreading everywhere in the world. You see it in UK, polarization, the marshes, everything. So when we solve the conflict there, all of the world will benefit from it.
Why do you think it's not been solved yet? I mean, I look at Northern Ireland, for example, which was 3 decades or more of violence, but eventually it got resolved. But it seems to be...
You know why?
Why?
I met with Martin McGuinness
Yes.
before, and he said to me, we were going, confronting each other. Once we started to move side by side as equal, we put an end to that. And that's what we need, the international community, the world, that we can, Palestinians and Israelis, to move side by side as equal with dignity and respect of the human rights, not as fighters, because a small room can't accommodate 2 fighters, but it can accommodate hundreds of friends. And that's the only way. And we are so close to each other. The commonalities between Palestinians and Israelis more than anyone else. So we need to use it, but based, as I said, on equality, respect of the human rights, dignity of the Palestinians is equal to the dignity of the Israelis. The freedom of the Palestinians, even I go far beyond that. The Israelis' freedom, safety, security, a future, and independence is linked and dependent on the Palestinians. We are one, we are conjoined twins, we can't separate it. So it's time to understand also military means and power will never put an end to this.
Do you...
I will end the video right here. We're gonna come back for the second part of this video and watch that also. Like I said, I'm my heads up to Piers Morgan for giving him a platform to talk in the way that he wants without any major interruptions. Or he didn't really interrupt him. He didn't really interrupt him the whole time, which is like commendable, because the Piers Morgan of before wouldn't even let you speak at all. But now I guess he's become better. I feel like he just had taking time to really look into himself and learn that in order for me to be the best I could be, is to be able to hear from both sides, not just about me being conservative or liberal or this and that, but it's all about speaking the truth, and that could be from both sides, can be from either side, and it takes that courage in order for you to do that. Because once you start being fair and staying in the middle where you're not taking sides, obviously, like, it's gonna be hard for people to really, I guess, you're gonna be hated the most. Obviously, they're gonna hate you the most because you're not supporting one side, but at the same time, you're doing your job and you're doing it right. And heads up to Piers Morgan. Appreciate you.